guys, welcome to the first edition of TNT Overland Adventure. I'm your host, Tate Smith. There's a shot of my dad, Jim, as we're sitting in a layover in Salt Lake City. Our adventure began in Cincinnati, Ohio, where we jumped on a plane to head to Idaho Falls, Idaho. Our plane got in about 11:45 at night. My brother Todd and his wife picked us up. We spent the night because we had some shopping to do for our trip to Alaska the next day. We got all of our shopping done and we headed off the hour-and-a-half trip back to my brother's house in Bondurant, Wyoming. And that's when we hit snow. That's right, snow. It's May the 28th. We came from 85 degrees in Kentucky to less than 30 degrees in Wyoming. We're not used to this at all. My brother, however, is. He lives in a remote area in Wyoming where he snowmobiles in and out of his house about 7 or 8 months out of the year. As we got further down the Hoback and Snake River canyons, it just kept getting worse. As you can see on the front of the cars, the snow is getting pretty thick. But my brother's used to this, and he drove us safely down the canyon, and we got to his house. We spent the night, woke up the next morning, hoping that the weather would be better, but guess what? More snow. It's about 28 degrees. And we have to pack up the camper. We have to pack up the Black Series trailer to get ready for our trip to Alaska.
I need some more. Okay, I got it.
Somewhere there's a system.
So because of the snow, we got a big hill to go up. We're going to take the trailer out first. I'll do a whole walk around the trailer when we're not freezing. We're taking off from Bondurant, Kentucky, or Bondurant, Wyoming. And it's going to be a take two. It was too cold for a take two, so we just went with take one. Here's some shots of my dad who can't feel his fingers and have to go inside to warm them up. And then some shots my brother's wife Abby got of us right before we hit the road on our epic trip to Alaska. My brother had some neighbors and friends that saw us off on the trip.
You guys are awesome. You're out here freezing your butts off.
Safe travels, my man.
All right, man. Thank you. Everybody, this is my brother Tate and my dad Jim.
Oh, your dad's here too. Hey, good to meet you guys. This is going to be unbelievable, man.
Thank you.
We're so excited for you.
Yes, it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome.
Good.
Yes.
Safe travels.
All right.
Pictures of bears. That's
Yes,
all.
yep. And we'll bring you halibut back.
Ooh, I'll take it. Good.
halibut.
We'll cook it. We'll cook it over here.
There
come
you go,
over.
man. There
Good
you
deal.
go. All right.
All right. Safe
Thank
travels.
you guys.
Nice to meet you
Be
guys.
careful. Bye-bye.
See you later.
That was so thoughtful.
Yeah. It's 1:30.
So we finally made it out to the parking lot, the beginning of my brother's road, got the trailer hooked up, and started our adventure to Alaska.
Lucky enough to get some in the yard because we asked for it, I guess.
I'd say you got an inch on the ground.
Hit your wipers one time.
In your
Our adventure started off from my brother's house as we head back up the Hoback Canyon, and the weather was a little bit better. It started to cooperate just a little bit. As you heard earlier, we left the house probably about 1:30, and here's some shots as we travel down the Hoback Canyon.
It says right in the book. But this camper only weighs 1,100 pounds dry. So if you don't have any gear in it or anything like that, it's within the payload. So, but the payload also includes our weight.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But everything in here. So, you know, me, you, and Tate are 750 pounds of the payload, right?
Yeah.
What a difference a day makes. As you can see, it's pretty much the same shot I got the day before
And then
with
our
all the
gear that
snow
we've got in the front
as
seat
we're
here,
traveling up
all
the
another
Hoback Canyon towards the
100
Snake
pounds.
River Canyon.
850. So that leaves us, you know, about 900 for the camper. But it's pretty small frame and everything, even he's not that big yet. Which is kind of cool. But well, be sure and check in on your mom every once in a while. Make sure she's alive.
I will.
Okay.
My brother was on the phone while we still had cell phone service to tell his son Landon to check in on his wife Abby while we were gone. We just passed it, huh?
I know. That's why I'm asking.
Asking what?
How are we going?
Oh, you meant a Pine Creek Pass?
Yeah.
I was going to, but with the snow, I was a little afraid it might be snow up over that.
Okay.
So I was going to go down here and go to Ryrie and cut over, which is before Idaho Falls.
Yeah, I've never been that way.
It's kind of just,
Farmland.
yeah, rural farmland. But it puts us on the same highway, just a little bit further below.
As we set off on our trip through West Yellowstone, Big Sky, Montana to Bozeman, Montana, we had planned on staying with my sister there. But she got sick a couple days before, and we were afraid to get sick too, so we decided not to stay at her house. But here's some beautiful shots of the Gallatin Canyon, West Yellowstone, some elk, and just beautiful scenery. After you pass West Yellowstone, you'll come to the Gallatin Canyon. It follows the Gallatin River past Big Sky, Montana. Beautiful scenery of Lone Peak, and you might catch a glimpse of some fly fishermen. A lot of the scenes from A River Runs Through It were filmed in Gallatin Canyon, so it's so beautiful. Because our plans fell through with my sister and we weren't able to stay at her house, we decided that we were going to camp out anyway, so we stayed in a motel in Bozeman the first night, got up the next morning to head towards Whitefish, Montana. We had a few options trying to get to Whitefish, Montana, and we had planned on taking the middle road, but because of the snow and we knew we were being driving on 2-lane roads most of the way to Alaska, we took the interstate to Missoula, hung a right, and went towards Flathead Lake. Flathead Lake is bordered on the east by the Mission Mountains. It's 27 miles long and 16 miles wide at its widest point. It averages about 164 feet in depth. It's an amazing lake and beautiful as you drive around the shore. As you get to the north end of the lake, you come into the town of Kalispell, and off in the distance you can see Glacier National Park.
the next left onto North Diggy Lake Campground X Road.
Here.
We got to North Dickie Lake Campground about 8 o'clock that night. I set up the camera. It took us about 18 minutes to set the camp up the first time. We're a lot faster at it now. But we're about 35 minutes from the Canadian border and had an appointment to cross the next day at 10 a.m. We got something to eat, got our bellies full, and a good night's rest before we were off to Canada the next morning. We got up the next morning and the weather was awesome. Crossed the border at Roosevelt to head towards Radium Hot Springs. That's when we got our first shot of glacier water, and man, was it spectacular. Glacier ice is so blue because it absorbs every other color but blue, so that's why we see blue.
The speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour.
Yes, it is.
69. Radium Hot Springs sits in Kootenai National Park. It has a population of about 1,600 people, and it reminds me of pictures I've seen of towns in the Swiss Alps. We stopped in a pullout on the side of the road to get some pictures of Mount Stanley in the background right before we crossed into Alberta. And as soon as we crossed the border, we saw our first black bear. When you cross the border into Alberta, you have a conversion of Banff National Park, Jasper National Park, and Kootenai National Park, and a great view of Castle Mountain. After crossing into Alberta, you make a left turn onto Route 1, and the first stop is Lake Louise. So Jasper and Banff National Park don't really open till June the 2nd. We were there on June the 1st. So because of this, we got a free pass up the Icefield Parkway. And man, it is awesome. It is definitely, I mean definitely, the prettiest drive I've ever taken. Bow Lake and Glacier.
It almost gives you anxiety to think about being up there.
It's a long way up.
Crazy.
Almost want to fall backwards.
It's non-stop beautiful views everywhere you look. Waterfalls, animals, snowcaps, glaciers. I mean everything. This highway is spectacular.
beautiful, isn't it?
We spent the night in Jasper National Park at the National Park Campground, which happened to be open. It was nice because we got to have a hot shower for the first time in a couple days. It was pretty sweet. Then we got up the next morning to head towards Grand Prairie, Alberta. As soon as we got out of Jasper National Park, we made a left at entrance and headed up towards Grand Prairie. As soon as we got on the road, we see these 3 grizzlies, a mom and 2 cubs, and the cubs were huge. After a long day of driving, we made it to Grand Prairie. Spent the night, got up the next morning, made the short drive to Dawson Creek. We made it, the ALCAN Highway, mile 0. We're on our way to Alaska. So on the next episode, it'll be Dawson Creek, Watson Lake, all the ALCAN Highway stops. So tune in. Hey, and if you like our video, give us a like and a subscribe. Thanks for tuning in to the first episode of TNT Overland Adventure. Your adventure is waiting, so go outdoors and have a blast.